Hey everyone, it's 4:16 in the morning. I'm doing this again because I accidentally I accidentally tried to play music while I was recording this just to see if it works. But no, I'll summarize sort of what I've made so far. So I started around 2 in the morning and went up to around 4, and with that I reached the little bonus thing. So 32 requests, $30 for a total of around $63. But remember, 30 of that comes from just the quest. So if I had already done that, and but as far as the actual hourly earnings come from 2 to 4, so that's around 33. So that's maybe around what, maybe 16 and a half per hour, and that's not including the gas or the taxes that you have to pull from that. So, taxes and expenses that goes into it, you end up making a little bit less than half of what you actually made. So from that 1650, maybe you get maybe around less than 825. So that's pretty much that's that is minimum wage essentially. If it's federal or state based, I don't know. Newark's dead right now. There's nothing. A bit further north, by Belleville and Kearney, is actually where it's a little bit of a surge right now. But why is my throat dry? Anyway, that seems to be the story of how it's going anyway right now. But again, sure, I'm probably just gonna head home right now. Nothing's open, so you can't do the morning one like you would. You're also not feeling it as well. But if you were gonna go to, well, technically I'm still in Newark. If you were to do it, usually from 5 to 6, it's optimal on Mondays. Well, actually lately anyway. But so most of them end up being by the oranges, and usually there you usually end up going a bit south. Um, it's usually from 5, so maybe sometimes you might have driving around Newark and maybe the oranges for maybe like that first or second trip. Usually by around 5:30, you start to get some people that actually just end up heading down south to work. In many of these, uh, I don't know, what are they? Factories? I think they're factories, but some of them are usually food services, or sometimes I've driven people to Amazon, New Brunswick, and Trenton. And usually by around 6, after you've finally gotten there, from 20 to 30 minutes from that 5:30, um, it usually ends up. All right, so from usually by 6, you'd be down in the south, and from then you usually just get, as soon as you drop someone off at maybe one of those factories or Amazon, the pickup is usually someone also on another factory close by there, and they're actually heading back north up. So you do manage to get back to Newark all within the same one. Or some cases they're heading a bit out west, but usually works out nicely because you usually end up heading west there, and the pickup doesn't end up being too far off, but and they actually end up going back to Newark too. So it all works out pretty nicely around the morning run. Most of the time, actually. Had a few times where it had rarely worked out, but you got some decent miles from the south to west part. It's 4:21 right now. Am I including dash cam footage of this? I think I am. I'm by what is that, Mulberry Street. There's 3 people walking. It's like 2, and then there's a bus and a car in the lane next to me. It's not that much happening right now. So I might end up turning it back on just because. Might as well check up. I'm gonna check on the app right now. Alright, come on. And literally everywhere but this is surging. Alright, I turned it on. It's on the trip likely part right now, so Let's see what happens. And I got one that's 150, so I'll take it. You know what? I'll take it. All right. It's in Kearney. Um, so I couldn't get a shot of the search, but well, I'm gonna go pick up this person. To pick up is kind of a bit technically the minute base. It's a little bar. Newark usually maybe around 5 minutes maximum. But why not? I'll see where this is gonna find. I didn't see where this is actually leading me. Certainly hit up a few bombs or potholes. But again, I have been simplifying how I edit this, and it's getting a little easier. So, your earnings, I guess I don't have to show each time, but it has been pretty low for the day. It does break down to 15 an hour. It's only because of the quest that it breaks down that way. In reality, it was more like 8. After maybe it's around 8 after expenses. Maybe probably more around the 7 1 after taxes and expenses that aren't taken into account. Dunkin' Donuts not open. Great, nothing's open right now. But I actually wasn't gonna do one today, but then I realized I actually kind of missed just doing the commentary. Just because things do change and people should know how little you make, and there are a few risks you take as well. You apply to jobs, but what if you don't get them? You end up wasting a lot of time applying, and needed as an income. Even fast food restaurants don't really end up hiring. Alright, so Jackson, you're pretty familiar with this park. There's a huge bump. After you turn. Knows what I'm talking about. Alright, did they fix it? I think they fixed it. Or maybe not, maybe that was the other side. This is the bridge. Alright, so we gotta pick up. I should probably not have this thing drying out while I put up. I think we're in Harrison right now. Having the position where I put it on the last commentary wasn't that great, so put it back where I had it originally. And the first time you had it, it's just your phone mic, and you were talking pretty loud. But here, it seems to get around that same volume, and you don't have to talk that loud. You could have a bit more of a relaxed approach to it. But this is getting kind of get that off and make your car payments, insurance payments. So I think I've picked this person up before. I can't really remember, but I know I've picked a few people from here before. Also, the search for this was like $1.50, so you can decide if that one was worth it or not. But I'm stuck down here. Also forgot my keys, so even if I do manage to go, it'll probably be a hassle to get in. So might end up just having to stay out. But again, as far as the restroom, everything seems to be pretty closed. So I just have to deal with it. They come in reeking of pot, and so much stuff. Everyone wants to get a refund. Everyone wants to exploit the system. Alright, so let's pick this person up a few times. Hey guys, we're here post commentary, and I have my phone on here, so you can see it's recording. Anyway, so you can see here that there is your quest, from 348, and that's the only reason it was not really worth it to go outside. So we got here 333, good $8 around 11. Okay, so that's maybe around 20, and so maybe they're around 26. And then they kind of stuff here, and then we got a super short one here for 371. You know, the cutoff is here because it's this way and doesn't line up with this. You can't have 4 a.m. unless it was a day before it. So we got 4 and 7. So we got 9 plus 4. Yeah, so 33, and then there's a trip quest again. So again, your earnings aren't that great. Also, you fell asleep editing everything, so it's a bit later, and you'll just go to sleep. I will take tomorrow off. I want to see if this works. Okay, so that's one thing that wasn't worth it. Then the next day, this is for so the $1.50 surge ended up being this one, and then I got around a 45-minute trip worth what was it? I think a $13 surge or something. It was around those lines. It was here, but you ended up being an hour away from Newark. So you drove back to Newark, and you know, record a separate one for that one right after this. So well, you can see what I made. So 3 kid out of the 7 there, so that's like 62 and $63 at, you know, with the little you know, because you made around 33 in 2 hours, but the little bonus made it 63 was approximately the 62ish and maybe what 29 cents. So that adds up to like what so we got 66 and then 2 and 3, so maybe 160. I mean, what 125. So yeah, maybe 125 in the morning minus gas money and tolls. So you could pretty much decide if that was worth it, which it wasn't too bad. I mean, if you hadn't gotten some of these rides, I know I was waiting a long time for this one afterwards. So but that's sort of what you earned. Okay, so I'm recording again, and I figured this is almost to the end of the editing process that's been. So I figured I'd take this time out to maybe wipe and go back out. So as you can see, this is how it looked like when I was back in Newark. And while you saw that I had a canceled trip there, so I decided to take a break after I canceled the trip, and well, I did just take a small break in there, a small place to park, and just chill for a while. But then afterwards, I mean, it just really wasn't worth it. So I mean, when there's this much surging at that point, it's just not the same as it is in the early morning. I mean, there's more traffic. It just pretty much becomes like the rest of the day. And the reason you would do it in the morning is to have low traffic while still having some pretty good movement in the morning. But at this point, you know, there's so much traffic. You're not gonna have as quick a move as you had earlier in the day. So that's kind of why you took a break, and then after the break, it got even worse. So you kind of stopped there. You know, that 125 divided by 2 was around 60. So and actually a little bit less after a few expenses. So it actually wasn't worth it. I mean, you can decide, if, oh well, you know, you could just you know, have more efficient model car or something, or maybe not use gas. But no, you're paying for it one way or another, and this is not paying enough to cover your expenses. This is just because at least you're getting something as opposed to just having nothing. Anyway, so I also took another screenshot of the rest of the Northeast, and I figured I might well explain why it's not worth it over there. So you're gonna see here that, you know, by the Northeast it's, you know, up 10, 11, you know, maybe 9, you know, but it's not worth it there, and I'll tell you why. It's because where it's $10 approximately, you never going to see that by the time you get there, or even if you so happen, the most you've gotten is maybe $9, and especially about the northern parts, you know, this can't be long. I know by the George Washington Bridge,
there's a lot of times where you have to pick up and you have to drive them usually all the way to JFK Airport or LaGuardia Airport or another airport, or the Queens or Bronx. Anyway, so you end up crossing the George Washington Bridge, and that's another like $20 toll right there, and so it inflates what you think you would earn. And I know lately Uber has fixed that where they tell you, oh, your net earnings, they're not counting the total, but that's only the small little breakdown at that point. But you'd still think, oh, oh, well, great, if it's been 140 and you've been working for a few hours, you think you're doing great, especially in the beginning. But then you wait a second. But a few seconds later, okay, no, I've been up and down the George Washington Bridge a few times, so how much of that am I actually keeping? And so maybe they make taking around a third of it at that point. So she goes, okay, maybe we made 80 in the morning, but that's only because of the huge distance. And you would have made around 90 or 100 if you kept working throughout the whole morning until you stopped. And out of that 100, they don't take a third because the tolls in New Jersey and by Newark, even if it's the turnpike, it's like I think $14 if you use the whole turnpike all the way down south. And that still doesn't compare to what you're paying for the George Washington Bridge or the Lincoln Tunnel, especially by Jersey City where everything's super cramped and it's there's a lot of potholes too. George Washington Bridge area is a lot nicer, but it's still not worth it. You're still going to New York. You're still having to pay massive tolls, you know, and there's just more traffic in general. And even if once you're done, you can't pick up there. All right, that's only for the TLC or like the more Uber premium parts, not the normal Uber X drivers. All right, you're not going to get those like other benefits that you get from maybe picking up another state or so. It is nicer, but it's just not worth it. You tried it a few times. You figured, oh, well, if you're going to New York, at least the people going to New York might tip. Well, sometimes it's gotten a few, but out of all the times you've done that run, it is not worth all the time you put in there. Not to mention the tolls, then your Easy Pass. It tells you, oh, you ran out, so you take another to finish, and then at the point where they get such a, it becomes incredibly high. So a point that of taking almost like 60 for that week even just because you've been using that so much and the traffic again the distance is very short, right? It is times where you find 371 and but you've had to pick them up quite a few miles apart in Florida City. That takes a long time because of the traffic. So a lot of 371s and it just ends up stacking 371 371 371. You think, okay, this many number of rides, and because you're driving, you think, oh, I'm just gonna grind it out. It doesn't matter. But the traffic does put a halt, and you know, the pickups were still further than most and stuff anyway. But it's just not worth it doing it there. You might be tempted, I might do it, but no, there's too much traffic. Most of the time, you end up heading south to Jersey City, and then that ends up taking you through the Holland Tunnel. Again, not worth it. Everyone's busy, traffic. It's just not worth doing it there, right? You don't get the same distance as you would here. And if you're stuck in New York, you're stuck in it, right? You have to turn off the Uber, or you can keep it on, but it doesn't matter because traffic in New York is terrible, right? Getting back in is even worse, right? But if you're stuck to do this sort of, I guess, rant style, but no, just don't do it over there. It's just not worth it. The only one time I got lucky was one point where I was coming back and I picked up one, uh, and then they ended up heading up to the Newark airport, and that was great because I made $30. But then you break it down with the turnpike, and you actually don't make that much. So that's about it. Great. Hopefully I can export this and be done with this finally. And tomorrow I might still make a video about my drive to Newark and so forth. Just sort of how long commute that it takes to get there. But I still think it's worth it.